8 of what I learned at an HBCU. Now this one I think is going to take more than one part, so maybe even 3 or 4. But I have to share it because it was probably one of the biggest learning experiences of my whole college lifetime. I don't know. It took me forever to graduate, by the way. Anyway, so it was my second semester at FAMU, and I was taking Intro to Psychology. I'm hoping somebody was actually in his class and can verify it, but I think his name was Dr. Hamilton. Anyway, he was very interesting to me. He would lecture on everything, and he would always challenge all the students about their way of thinking. There was a lot of debating going on in this class. One day, he went to the front of the room, and on the blackboard, he wrote the words black and white. Watch part 9. This is a continuation from part 8. So the words black and white are on the chalkboard at the front of the class, and the teacher asks the students to raise their hands and say words that remind them of the word black. He started with the word black, and it was like this. I'm sure there were more words, but you get the point. Black was beautiful, bold, strong, powerful, queens, kings, beautiful words. And there was me and one other white guy in the front of the class. I always sat in the back. He asked for words associated with white, and it was like ugly, liar, devil, evil. And then there was a girl sitting like a seat ahead of me, and she turned around and looked at me to see if I was doing okay, and I was kind of shrinking in my seat. And she says pure for a word to be associated with white. I was very thankful for that, but in my head I'm thinking, well, that's not true exactly. I really appreciated her concern. The last part will be part 10. This comes after part 8 and 9. So it was a very humbling experience, and this guy was a really hard grader, and he said that if we wanted to get a B in the class or better, we had to stop by his office during office hours. I wasn't scared to do that. I wanted to get good grades. I remember the first time I showed up at his office, he kind of looked at me like he was shocked. Turns out he was a pretty nice guy, and I ended up getting a B in the class. Later on, I think the following semester, I got called to the administration building. They asked me how my classes were going and if anything strange happened. I couldn't think of anything, but then I thought of this class. Apparently, the other guy in there complained about the teacher, so I stood up for the teacher because that day was a really big learning lesson for me. I think he still might be teaching there. I'd love to see him again and tell him about this. That's it. Part 11 of what I learned at an HBCU. So this goes back to the girl from part 10 in my psychology class who said something when she sensed that I was feeling uncomfortable. I don't remember her name. I don't remember even what she looks like, but I remember her concerned face, if that makes sense. But I'll never forget the way she made me feel. I know I'll never understand how it feels to have black skin in a white world, but that experience probably was the closest I could come to understanding a little bit. I have a lot of empathy, but I'm a shy person, and so what she taught me was to really stand up for others when it's the unpopular thing to do. She helped me learn how to get out of my comfort zone, stop being shy, and stand up for people. Whoever you are, thank you. Part 12 of what I learned at an HBCU. So I learned that the food in the South is way different than what I grew up on in Wisconsin. I grew up eating cream of wheat for breakfast, and so when I came to the South, I learned about grits. I was ordering breakfast with my teammates, and I was like, I'll have a grit, I'll try one. My friends were laughing so hard at me like you can have just one grit. Anyway, it turns out I like them. I like to mix them in with my scrambled eggs. Another difference is the macaroni and cheese. I grew up on boxed macaroni and cheese, which I still love, but Southern macaroni and cheese is the best. Not all of my friends like chitlins, but the ones who did said it's important that you know who made them. I'm kind of funny about meat in general, so I tried just one off of my friend's plate. One was enough for me. Part 13 of what I learned at an HBCU. Before I left Wisconsin, I thought that black people all had brown skin. Like, I wasn't aware of the different shades. There's dark chocolate to caramel to albinos. There's black albinos. I didn't know that before. I also didn't know that brown skin can get darker in the sunlight and even get sunburned. I had never heard the word ashy. I have oily skin, so I hardly ever use lotion, but my roommates use it pretty much every day. I also noticed that there were only pale Band-Aids back then. I know they made different tones now, but they're way more expensive. I also learned about colorism. In my opinion, it would be boring if we were all the same skin tone. We're all unique and we're all beautiful. Part 14 of what I learned at an HBCU. So this probably is going to sound weird, but I went through a phase when I hated white people. Let me explain. When I lived on campus at FAMU, I was in Cropper Hall. I was either in the basement or on the third floor. I don't remember which year it was, but they were playing Roots somewhere on campus. My teammates warned me to just stay in the room that night. And I took their advice and I stayed home that night. And I had seen Roots before, and as I was learning history that I did not learn in my whitewash history, I became angry. I became angry at what white people did and angry that I wasn't taught the truth, the whole truth in school. I'm not sure how long that phase lasted, but I came out of it realizing I can just do my part. We can all only do our part. Part 15 of what I learned at an HBCU. So I learned what it feels to be singled out because of the color of my skin. I had this really nice history teacher, very sweet. The topic of slavery came up, and she was basically saying that she felt like the Native Americans had it worse than the African Americans. So there was this whole debate going on, and I was just listening, and she was talking about how it just depends on your perspective. Everybody has a different perspective. And she brought up Jesus, and she said, we don't really know if his skin was brown. And then she kind of looked at me and she's like, white people can get tan, right? She was like, if white people are out in the sun very long, their hair could get like wool. I'm sure my face was bright red. Also pretty sure Jesus was brown. Hey TikTok, how's everybody doing today? So I just wanted to take a minute and share this website. It's 1milliontruths.com. It has a bunch of videos from different Black Americans and their experiences of being Black in America. For the past few weeks, I've been sharing experiences of being a white girl from a predominantly white high school and going to a predominantly Black college, an HBCU. And I'm absolutely amazed by all the comments I've received, people sharing their experiences, people just interested in learning my experience, and most of them who are commenting are Black. I'm hoping, I'm wishing, I'm praying that white people are even more interested in listening to the current Black experience in America. Listen and learn.